And welcome back to the Mark Moses Show. And we're going to try something this morning for a big concert coming up at the King Center. I'm going with 3 guests at once. We've never done this before, but these guys are awesome, and they do a great job with classic albums live. Here's who I have. I had to write it all down. I got Craig, I got Nick, and I got Shane, and they are getting ready for the 17th. That's right, the Lithium Experience. Let's bring on Craig Martin first, the founder. Craig, how you doing this morning?
I'm very well, thank you.
Tell us all about Classic Albums Live. Let's start there.
All right. Classic Albums Live is a concert company that was founded 20 years ago. What we do is we take classic albums from the 60s, 70s, and occasionally the 80s, and we record, we replay, we perform those albums note for note, cut for cut on stage using the world's best musicians. All of our focus and energy is put into the music. We don't do imitations or tributes or any of that crap. We just concentrate on the music. Our shows are big. If we do a Beatles band, it's not 4 guys on stage in Sgt. Pepper's outfits. It's 14 people on stage with strings and horns. Same with Zeppelin. There'll be 3 guitar players on the show. On the Pink Floyd, even though there's 4 Pink Floyd members, we'll have 10 people on stage. Our concentration is all about musical purity. That's what we care about more than anything. The same way that you go to see an orchestra perform Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, Classic Albums Live performs the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Eagles, Rumors, the greats. The greatest albums ever made, performed by the greatest musicians ever in the world's best venues.
Very nice. So the question is then, are we going 90s now? Are we finally breaking through to the 90s? That's the question, Craig.
Yeah, well, I wanted to do something different. I'm 60, so I grew up with all the 70s and 80s music, pretty much 60. You know, I have 3 decades worth of really cool music that I grew up with, but I didn't realize how, when I was in my 40s, like listening to a lot of the 90s music really affected me. One thing I know is that I did not like hair metal bands. I didn't care for Poison. I don't like Warrant or Rat or any of that crap. What I like are good rock and roll bands. So all of a sudden, I kind of like lost touch and got back into classic rock the whole time the 90s, late 80s and 90s was going on. And then all of a sudden, I hear Pearl Jam, I hear Alice in Chains, I hear Nirvana, I start hearing Soundgarden, all these incredible bands. And I'm like, thank God somebody's out there still bringing some integrity to music. And that was the end of hair metal, and what they call grunge, or the alternative scene, really started taking off. And I really dug it. It was a breath of fresh air at the right time. So when Cal started, I don't know if, Shane, you won't know this, but in our first year with Nikki, we started a side series called Modern Classics Live. Yeah, it was kind of weird. We had the Cal shows going, and then because I just like producing shows, I started this other series, and we did a night called Sounds of Seattle, and Nikki fronted the show, and we were doing exactly all the bands I just mentioned, and people went bananas. Like, it was I think our most successful night at the Phoenix, Nick. I just remember it being packed.
I remember driving on the highway, and like a girl passed me on like the 407 to put down her window and go, "You were singing that show last night. It was amazing." She was losing her mind about the freaking, I'll never forget that. A random on the highway.
407.
Yeah. Like doing 100 kilometers an hour, right? It like pulls down her window and honks at me to say, "I recognize you from the Seattle show last night." It was amazing. Yeah, that was I thought
here's what we'll do. Nick, Mr. going 100 kilometers an hour. I like going very hipster saying that as well. Nick, how are you involved with this show, the Lithium Experience, coming up?
I have the honor and pleasure of fronting a lot of the show. Shane's going to pick up a couple of the Nirvana songs, but thankfully I get to sing a lot of my favorite artists from a time of my life where like that music was just like Craig was saying. You know, I wasn't really a hair metal guy either. I was like a heavy metal guy. And then suddenly hair metal became a thing. Like GNR came out, and they kind of almost bridged the gap between cool and cheesy. I was driving back from my first ever tour with my band, and we had just gotten off of the stage playing this college bar in Ottawa, doing like Tesla, and I think we did Enter Sandman, and there was people dancing to Enter Sandman. I'll never forget that. And I was like, what the heck is going on? People are dancing to Metallica. The world is ending. Something's crazy. We're on our way back home from my very first road trip. and I had the best time. And then Pearl Jam came on. Never heard them before. They're like, hey, this new band, and they play Pearl Jam. And so you hear that beginning riff, the guitar, right? You know, and it sounds cool. It sounds Hendrixy. It sounds, you know, that's what I thought. My first impression of. I have a first impression of every band I heard and who I thought they sounded like, right? Like Soundgarden was Sabbath. Nirvana was the Beatles to me at one point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyway, this band comes out, and then Eddie Vedder's voice comes out of the radio. And me and my band, there's like 5 of us, plus my brother, I think, stuffed into a cargo van, you know, sitting on an Ampeg as our bench. And Pearl Jam comes out. And I was like, who are these guys? Like, it blew my mind. And I bought that album, and I just played it out. And the songs that are popular aren't the ones I fell in love with. I fell in love with Garden. That was my favorite song when I heard that record, and I played it out. Wow. So it was huge, so different, man. There was nobody with a like that. Nobody sang like that. Everybody sang like Axl Rose. Even I did the night before.
So, okay, so let's clarify this, and we'll get to Shane in 1 second. So
I'm fine.
You're not okay. So I can sing these songs, just I can't do Nirvana. Is that what you just? I just want to clarify this on the air.
There are just some songs that my brother Shane sings like just better than I could. So some got to defer to the man who does the job the best, and my man Shane is the guy. So
all right, let's bring on Shane. We've had him on before. Shane, how are you doing today?
I'm very tired.
Tired? Why? What happened? What's going on?
Oh, you know, just running around. We Nikki and I were just at the Jason Bonham show at the Hard Rock last night, actually, and that was pretty fun. And yeah, practicing for the shows coming up, and it's not much to really complain about to be able to do this for a living, you know.
That is really cool. All right, what do you like about this Lithium Experience, especially that era of music?
Well, it's very guitar forward. Obviously, it's very guitar driven. And at the same time, it's not as flashy as like the 80s stuff that came before. I was born in 89, so a lot of it is just research, like, and you know, stuff that I've seen. But as a guitar player, I'm aware that in the 80s, there was a lot more shredding, a lot more big guitar solos and flashy things. And this music was really kind of steering away from that and more of like just badass riffs and heavy guitars and good songwriting, like all of that. And I get to play with my shirt off in this show, so that's pretty fun too.
Oh, does that happen right away, or do we warn the audience? What happened?
I think it should be better left unsaid. Like, you know, it's something you got to feel.
Do you tell the other guys like, "Hey, it's going to happen. This is the cue. This is what we're going to do."
I was actually, the first time we did the show, I was instructed. It was like part of what I had to do.
Oh, Craig. All right, Craig. What type of songs? Can you give us any hint of the songs we might hear at this show coming up on the 17th?
I just want to get back to Nikki saying that people were dancing to Metallica. I once saw a stripper at Little Tony's dance to "We Are the World."
Really?
So dark.
I wasn't going to say anything when he said dancing to Metallica, but I'm happy you brought it up. So, all right. So the show's coming up December 17th at the King Center. It's the Lithium Experience. So yeah, Craig, back to you. Any hint on some of the songs we might hear or the bands we might hear?
Yeah, certainly a lot of Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, we're gonna hear Pearl Jam. You're gonna hear what you think you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear you're gonna hear Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. We're throwing in a little Jane's Addiction, some Nirvana. So what's different, of course, is we're not doing album. We're doing a cross section of music. I'm just producing this show, but this is not a Classic Albums live show. We're not doing an entire album. So it's going to be, quite frankly, it's going to be hit after hit after hit after hit, instantly recognizable, put your fist in the air and rock out songs. And this band is killer. Like these guys, their attention to detail. Well, I guess that's what's great about Cal is we spent so much time learning things note for note that it's almost easier for us now to learn. Like if ever have a sub out and do other gigs, it's easier for us to learn things note for note. It's just quicker, more effective. So we really spent a lot of time on putting together this killer set of music. And I think that if you come to the show, you're going to leave very satisfied. And also, you're going to leave like somewhat nostalgic. I know that's kind of a strange thing to say about Lenny's music, but this music really endures. Like it's not going away like the classic rock before it. And like, I think you've got the classic rock genre, then you've got some of the classic hip hop stuff, and that's it. You know what I mean? Until you get to some of the alternative and grunge stuff, that's going to endure. But there's a whole bunch of music in there that is just left behind, like we're not going to be listening to in 20 years. But all of this alternative and grunge music will indeed endure for decades to come. 100%, no doubt about it.
Okay, the debate, and I'll let you guys go, and I appreciate doing this with me. The debate is we have all the time at the Rocket. You know, what is classic rock? Because my brain always thinks 70s and 80s, but 90s grunge is from 30 years ago. Is that classic rock? Craig, and we'll go around the horn. Craig, I'll start with you with your answer.
Yeah, I don't care about the classifications, you know, like I'm just so burned out on that. I grew up in a time where you listen to music or you studied. That was the division. Yeah, so clearly I listen to music, and you know, and that was the division. Whether it was disco or whether it was rock or pop, we didn't care. We were just into music, and that's the way it is now. Yes, it's classic rock. Yes, it's rock and roll. Yeah, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you call it grunge or whatever. These are good songs performed, and these songs were written skillfully. The arrangements on tunings and execution of some of these songs it's right up there with us learning Floyd and Zeppelin. You know, there's not a lot of difference there. These are smart, well-written, crafted songs. We're going to pay them the ultimate respect. We're the ones to do it properly too. There's again, you see all the crap bands on the internet, you know, doing their versions of it. Nobody touches us as far as a note for note kind of, especially vibe for vibe on this one. We're the ones.
Great answer. Nick, how about you?
You know, it's funny. We had the same conversation recently. It always comes up, right? Because you're looking at so many 50 years of music, right? Rock and roll kind of came out of the 50s. We look back on it, and I was saying this the other day. I used to sit around the car with my family, and maybe we all did this, sit with the family, and the golden oldies had come on, which they call them, right? The 50s music, and this is the 80s we're talking about. So we're only 30 years or less removed, and we're listening to golden oldies and singing Del Shannon and, you know, At the Hop and all that stuff, right? And then and that's rock. And then you fast forward and we started categorizing. We had to do it because so much came out, heavy metal. But now we're in a world where you can get on your phone and you can download a song immediately, and you don't get an album. Like, to me, grunge, again, because of the advent of technology, the grunge era became the advent of, it was sort of the last classification really to me. Like, we've had a lot of like alt rock and new metal. Really, it all became the same thing, man. Because I go to the radio station, you know, your station or JRR or anywhere else, and they're going to play Zeppelin, and then they're going to play Lit, and then they're going to play Limp Bizkit, and then they're going to play, like, you know, Wage War, and it's all on the same radio station, and they're all being played at the same festival. You go to a rock concert and you're going to see Metallica, you're still going to hear Deep Purple that they're playing between songs. So to me, I don't think classic rock is like classical music. Like, it's just timeless. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that we're at a point now where I think people just love music, and music is available at your fingertips. My little girl, who turned 15 the other day, listens to Nirvana and Pearl Jam religiously, but also loves 3 Days Grace. And also, we went to a K-pop store yesterday, which I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And bought, like, you know, for her birthday, like $200 worth of like pictures of cute Korean boys. Yeah, I'm like, what is happening right now? And my kids are singing Korean in my face. I don't know what they're saying to me.
Like, you're the lame one that you don't know it.
That's what I'm saying. So that's kind of where we're at. So I believe that we're at a time where you got to put genres together. Like, there's your R&B and there's your, you know, there's genres, country. But when it comes to rock music, there's so much crossover between genres. You know, like, I listened to some country the other day. I'm learning for a you know, this little corporate thing, and it's heavy, man. Like, Chris Stapleton's got some heavy riffs.
Oh yeah.
Right? I don't know where, you know what I mean? Jason Aldean's got some heavy, Eric Church is playing heavy metal. Like, you know, so to me, classifications are gone, man. We're just, with this show, with Lithium, we get to capture a period of time that not only changed music to me, it changed the way that we are culturally. Like, people got pissed. Napster, free music, like, enough of the man. Like, it was a continuation of the 60s, but on hyperdrive, because like our culture now is to me is based on what's happening with the Lithium Experience of the 90s. And that's
real quick, Greg, you're pointing your finger.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mark. That's excellent, Nikki. I completely agree with you on that. That was like punk before it. That was a pivotal time. You know, we drifted into hair metal and all that stuff, but grunge was really like a shot of realism in the world. Like, alternative music really got rid of a lot of the crap and BS about society, all those pretensions and conventions. And really, you're right. It was a cultural experience. Right on. Sorry, Mark.
No, you're fine. You guys are doing great. We'll end with Shane. Mr. I was born in 1989. You got to follow that. What do you like about this style of music?
They're all like
18, 19, how old is Shane now?
I'm 33.
Right.
But
go
to
on.
put that in context, like in 95, I was 6. So I was listening to the Backstreet Boys and Hanson. But
and look at you now.
Exactly. Still listening to it, but not telling anyone until I'm in a radio interview. No, I feel like, as much as we all kind of probably don't generally like to put things in boxes and genre defining and gatekeeping and stuff, but like, I guess the best way I could think about it is, I think there's no way that classic rock or anything defined as classic can't stay classic. Like, the only genre that is actually in danger is modern. Like, you can't call anything modern because it won't stay modern.
Right.
Even if we can say like modern music today, like, what are we going to call that 10, 20 years from now? Like 2020 music? Like, what are we going to, I don't know.
Well, we're going to call it forgettable music.
Well, not all of it. There's some good stuff out there. You got to look. It's just not radio most of the time. And the only stuff that is good on the radio is classic rock. So mic drop.
Mic drop. It is the Lithium Experience, December 17th at the King Center. I'm super excited. This is my favorite genre. I grew up with this. This is like, I went through this, so it means something to me. I'll just tell you this. Last time I was in New Orleans, I'm on Bourbon Street. And what's great is you just have music, live music, every single bar. I go in one, they have a 90s grunge cover band playing, right? And they're playing every song I wanted to hear. And I've been waiting months for another opportunity. So I will be there at the King Center. I am ready, guys. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.